Hello everyone, this is Ohio Dan. I wanted to specifically touch upon the idea that modern relationships are basically a scam, particularly from a man's point of view in modern Western society. And of course I've suggested this in many videos that I've made already, but I don't think I've ever flat out said this. So modern relationships pretty much are an effort to take what relationships used to be, totally corrupt what they represent, present them to you in this new form, and then take this new version of what a relationship is, present it to men, and expect them to sign up for it and to want to participate. And that's honestly what relationships have become. It's taking this idea of finding happiness and love with a person that you're compatible with and have chemistry with, and then monetizing that and weaponizing that against you as much as possible, and then expecting that you're still going to participate because as a man, you basically want to get your dick wet. And even though we have hookup culture, and even though we have pay to play, and all these other things that are not very good things, honestly, friends with benefits and whatnot, these things don't have a very good impact on society, I'm sure. They're not good developments, not to mention pornography and all that as well. But somehow men should still want to be part of relationships and that whole dynamic and consider being in a conventional type of relationship with a woman, even though his house can be taken from him in terms of if they both live there once the woman decides that she doesn't want him around anymore. Kids can be weaponized against him and taken from him and used as a meal ticket for the woman. The woman can make false accusations about violence or sexual misconduct. Even though all these things go against men, and then as a man, you're not allowed to expect anything of a woman. You're not allowed to expect her to take care of the home or to really essentially support you in any way. Her money is her money. Your money is our money from a guy's point of view. But yet you're still supposed to sign up for that because your biology and societal constructs tell you that this is a process that you need to be involved in. It really is to a point, guys, where it is just a complete and total scam. And I get the idea that men still in some cases want to have a family no matter what. I get the idea that men will try to have relationships on their own terms, which is really the only sane way of doing it at all now. And even then, you've got to know what the sort of limit to that is. The woman's not going to meet those terms and you have to have an exit strategy. But ultimately, conventional relationships as they are presented and dating and the whole process is such a scam from a guy's point of view that it's just not even worth taking seriously. And I know I've mentioned that particular point before, but it's just a scenario where it's almost unbelievable why men still continue to date. It's almost unbelievable why men continue to value themselves based on female validation. For example, unfortunately, the incel community, they think that dating and relationships are this wonderful thing if they could just attain that ability, attain that status of having a relationship. And yet, really, in practice, men don't get anything from relationships. Even sex, again, as I've basically already alluded to, if women want to sleep with you, they'll sleep with you. If they don't, they're not going to. Being in a relationship really doesn't change that much one way or the other, especially once it gets off the ground, right? Especially once she feels like she's secure in that relationship and you won't just dump her. If she doesn't really find you attractive, she's just going to cheat on you and sleep with other people anyway. So this idea, and I'm not meaning to pick on incels or any other particular group, but this idea that somehow you should still want to date and you should still try to find the right woman when the whole apparatus, the whole dynamic around doing this has been so corrupted and so monetized and weaponized against you. Monetized, look at the cost of weddings. Look at the costs of jewelry. Look at the costs of just what you're expected to do in terms of upkeep to keep a relationship going from a guy's point of view. Why? What are you getting that makes this worthwhile when you actually look at it for what it is? And that's really the only point I have in this particular video, guys, is let's just be honest. Relationships pretty much are a scam from a man's point of view today. I'm not saying that that's been true throughout all of history. I'm not saying that's true in every society today. But in modern Western countries especially, United States, Canada, the UK, Australia, other European nations, relationships are just a scam. Let's just come out and call it for what it is. And once you accept that, it really loses its luster, right? It's not something that is desirable to pursue. Now, you might still find women attractive. You might still try to have, again, as I mentioned, your own form of relationship on your terms, but that in itself is pretty difficult to do because society is always whispering in the woman that you're with's ear that she deserves more and you're not good enough and you're controlling, you're bad, she basically can do no wrong. And then there's a good chance that she's not going to do things on your terms, right? So that's difficult to pull off as well. But I get it. I get that men may still want to have some form of connection with a woman, but that doesn't change the fact that conventional relationships are just a scam. New relationships where a couple just lives together is basically a scam. We know what the domestic violence laws entail when it comes to that. If there is a police-involved situation with a man and a woman living together. So that's not a solution at all, really. And we know that the family courts are going to railroad the man most of the time out of a lot of his money because that's how the officials in the family courts get paid. It's just a scam. It's just something that, unless you feel like you have to have a family, there's no reason to really even entertain the idea of seeking out that path, of trying to have just a conventional relationship for its own sake. And even if you want to have a family, I'd suggest you think really hard before you go about it the traditional way and just find a woman to basically impregnate, because it could go easily against you because, again, everything is set up to scam you out of your resources, to scam you out of your stability, out of your well-being, out of your home, from your family, etc. It's set up to basically scam men into making poor choices for themselves, into putting themselves in a losing situation that they can't really get out of very well, so that they can continue to produce and essentially do what the woman that they're with, but also society as a whole, wants them to do for little to no gain, to be honest. Again, unless a man feels like he has to have kids and go down that path, there's just no way that it really makes any sense to do that. So I just wanted to briefly discuss that point, that relationships today are pretty much just a scam. There's not really anything that remains from the positive reciprocity that may have existed in times past, not that long ago, when it came to the beauty and the value and the general mutual benefit from a man and a woman playing different roles in a relationship and having different responsibilities, but helping each other through life. That doesn't exist anymore. Instead, there is this ersatz, fake, totally corrupted scam version of relationships that are put out there that honestly, men in general are just better off avoiding and not having any sort of value for whatsoever, given how things are and what relationships have become, as they are now just a scam that is presented to you, hoping that you'll buy into it, and unfortunately a lot of men still do, just trying to take advantage of you, and you're just better off avoiding conventional relationships for that reason if you're a guy. Modern relationships are a scam, and I think all the evidence shows that this is where things are, and guys are better off not allowing themselves to fall into that scam in general.